frequently at this Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. And it was my honor to know Judy Brophy, whose life we commemorate today. Even as we come together to acknowledge a death, we are here to pay homage to the spirit of life, to lift our voices in gratitude for the time that Judy Brophy spent among us, and to give thanks for the days and years shared with her. We're here to remember and memorialize a good life by holding up the best of this person, the fullness of her humanity, a life that shows what it means to be human in some particular way. And in doing so, our own lives are enriched. And now it is a Unitarian Universalist tradition to light a chalice when we gather together, and Ellen will do the honors for us. Today, as Ellen lights the chalice, the enduring symbol for Unitarian Universalists and all who are guided by the flame of love and hope, we do so to honor Judy's life and her time here on this earth. May her memories of her continue, like this flame, to burn brightly in our hearts. And so we have come together. It is right and fitting that we are here today, for a human life is sacred, and so is its ending. The American writer Wendell Berry offers us these words. She goes free of the earth, the sun of her last day sets clear in the sweetness of her liberty. The earth recovers from her dying, the hallow of her life remaining in all her death leaves. Radiance knows her. Grown lighter than breath, she is set free in our remembering. Grown lighter than vision, she goes dark into the life of the hill that holds her peace. Judy's hidden among all that is and cannot be lost. Judith Sherman Brophy was born January 30th, 1948, and she grew up in New York City. As a young adult, she taught elementary school in Schenectady before moving to Hawaii, which became her home for more than 40 years. And there she worked for the Naval Base, serving as its personnel director. She developed programs for her department, specializing in administering and in interpreting the Myers-Briggs Personality Indicator Test. Judy continued this career after she moved here to Washington State, and upon her retirement, Judy was widely recognized and celebrated for her contributions to this work. In keeping with her family's tradition, she had participated in her bat mitzvah as a young person, but she later was introduced to Unitarian Universalism by her dear cousin, Marjorie Gelbin, and her husband, Arnold. And Judy found in Unitarian Universalism her home. She became and remained very active in the church, especially by offering her gifts as a proficient guitarist, pianist, and vocalist. She was also a soloist at weddings of close friends and family members. When Judy met Jim Brophy, Judy knew he was the love of her life. They were married for more than 34 years until his death in 2023. And of course, his service was held here in this fellowship as well. Together, they shared many adventures, traveling the world, enjoying reunions of the Flying Tigers with which Jim had flown, gathering with friends for Friday night movies or for holiday dinners that included often more than 20 people. One Thanksgiving, Judy once said she would send Jim and his cousin Vera off to a football game so that she could enjoy the pleasure of cooking alone in her kitchen without any kind of additional help while they were away. Jim's death was devastating, as many of you know, was devastating for Judy. In her later years and as her health declined, she was fortunately supported by a wide circle of family and friends. Jim's grandson, David, became Judy's grandson and traveled here from Minnesota to be at her bedside. Sue, Judy's stepdaughter, who had lived with them occasionally over the years, was also a big part of Jim and Judy's life. Judy's numerous cousins kept in touch with her, as did her former work colleagues and her many friends here at the Kitsap UU Fellowship. She attended services here as long as she was physically able to do so, and I have many memories of being here in the pulpit and greeting her on Sunday morning, where she would be seated in the back row of the sanctuary. Judy died on April 9th of this year. Those of you who knew Judy well will recall her creativity, her wicked sense of humor, and her feisty spirit, qualities that enlivened any gathering of which she was a part. And she also cared about others. She cared a lot about others. A friend once remembered Judy with these words: "Are you aware of how many people Judy has helped?" Judy Sherman Brophy, you were a gift to this life, and you will be missed by those who knew and loved you. May your life be a blessing.
Bows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds' illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way. But now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost and something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. I've looked at life from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all.
Okay. Plus, I don't get to be tall very often, so this is kind of cool. Hi, I'm Rachel Gelbin. I am Judy's second cousin. Judy's father, Jerry. Can I make that? Thanks. I can't see you. You're very welcome. I'm like, wait, I can't see you. So Judy's father, Jerry, and my grandfather, Leo, were brothers. So Judy was raised in New York by her mom, Corinne, and her dad, Jerry. Judy had a wonderful relationship with her father. He was her safety, her stability, and her role model. He fostered her mind, her talent, and her humanitarian instincts. According to a cousin, she could already play piano very well by the age of 10. When he passed away suddenly, Judy was only 9 years old. Here are some things she heard about her father from his friends after his passing. I never met a sweeter, gentler person. He was a gentleman in every sense of the word. Words are not adequate to express the admiration I have for Jerry and high regard I have for his sincerity and forthright honesty of purpose. He was a man who was charitable, humble, and unselfish, always willing to cheerfully help those who were in need of assistance. His was a life of brotherly love, dedicated to mankind, regardless of race or creed, and everything he stood for was righteous and benevolent. He was obviously a gem, and a wonderful father to Judy, her innocent world turned upside down. He remained indelibly etched on her soul as she tried to navigate life's ups and downs. In her mini autobiography that she wrote to my parents, Judy shared, "My mother was the strangest person I've ever known." Her mother's instability was undiagnosed and untreated. I share this so that all of you have a sense of what Judy had to overcome in her lifetime. She began as well, like her mother, to struggle with high anxiety during high school, diagnosed as OCD much later in life. She wondered and lamented to me if her mother's life would have been different had she discovered that it was treatable. Her relatives all had a positive influence on Judy. My grandparents, her aunt and uncle Susan and Uncle Leo, her aunt Dorothy and Uncle Paul, her cousins, who were my parents, Marjorie and Arnie, her cousins Dolce and David all concerned about her and how she would survive under her mother's influence. They were all active in her life, and Judy relished the time with these family members as safe, supportive, and stimulating and uplifting. She wrote in the front of her autobiography to my parents, "Thank you for believing in me." She spent a lot of time with us when we were kids. My folks introduced her to the guitar. She had a lovely voice, as most of you know. Hers blended perfectly with our guitars and our 6-part harmony. Think Partridge Family. She would travel with us and other relatives, often on vacation, and she got to experience what a real family felt like. She felt championed. In high school, she was introduced to music and theater. She sang with the girls' chorus, the mixed chorus, and in the children's choir at the Union Temple. She also studied drama and speech. She was co-editor of the Drama Guild newsletter and often got free tickets to go to Broadway plays to review them for the paper. She proclaimed, "I was in my glory." Despite feeling too immature and unwell to be in college at age 16, she was able to escape her mother's influence. She received a degree in elementary education and began teaching the 3rd grade and shared that she was popularly known as the teacher with the guitar. She expressed to me that even though she was unwell at times, she absolutely loved teaching. When she babysat us, she would arrange all 4 of us after we went to Mom's desk and got pencils and paper and and she would sit us all down and practice teaching on us. We were in love with her. When she married her first husband, Ron, they moved to Hawaii, where she taught for 4 years as a teacher before she resigned. She accepted a job with the Department of Navy and excelled as a personnel trainer, and her career took off. Ron accepted a job in Detroit, and they ended their marriage. But in 1986, she met the love of her life, Jim Brophy. She describes her time with him as very supportive, deep feeling, and unconditional love, regardless of whether she was happy or depressed. This was her ultimate dream, was a relationship that was real, that was true, like the relationships she saw between those aunts and uncles and cousins. This was also when she was diagnosed with OCD and prescribed medication that could help manage it. It was a profound time in her life to have created the marriage of her dreams, bless you, and recognize that her struggle was biological condition that was treatable and it wasn't her fault. Along with Jim, she developed relationships with his stepdaughter Sue and her step-grandson David. David refers to her as his grandma and drove 2.5 days from Minnesota to sit with her at her bedside when she was in hospice. You might have noticed in the video montage David holding Judy's hand. She and Jim moved to Washington State in 1999. Judy had attended UU fellowships in the past because my parents had introduced her to that. And after attending here, they fell madly in love with the UU church here in Kitsap, as most of you know. They joined the choir. She wrote, "It was a combination of professional directing, outstanding musical selections, and a talented, fun group of performers that afforded us the opportunity to be a part of many peak musical experiences." One of those musical experiences she described in her writing. In 2001, the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship Choir sang "Still Can't Say Goodbye." She writes, "The harmonies were haunting, and as part of the choir, I am right in the middle of all of this. The story is about a child whose father died, and they cannot come to terms with it. Maybe a connection to the loss of her father. The song goes, no matter how hard I try, no matter how many years go by, no matter how many tears I cry, still can't say goodbye." Judy wrote in response to this song, "Do we ever say goodbye to those we love? I think not. We keep them close in our hearts, and life goes on. I wanted to share some of my personal stories about Judy. In 1988, she came to Tucson and sang at my wedding. That is her on the front cover of the program at my wedding. She was always so supportive of me and my little family. Holidays in Hawaii, visits to Tucson, attending my daughter's college graduation. She was a presence in my life. I've heard from many relatives that she and Jim were an active and loving presence in their lives of their families as well. Over this past year, I'd had nightly phone contact with Judy. Sometimes we were solving problems, sometimes we were consoling each other, and sometimes we were just being playful. She has a great sense of humor. She was a huge Nancy Drew fan, for those of you who don't know. She had collected all of Nancy Drew's books when she was young. She described Nancy as a positive, young girl role model who could solve problems in her life when sometimes Judy felt so paralyzed. So when she would be facing a problem needing to be solved, I would ask her, what would Nancy do? Let's channel Nancy and figure out how to work through this. After she was able to solve the problem, she would then exclaim, "Nancy Drew to the rescue, case closed." It really helped her to quiet her mind to think about her options. Her collection of Nancy Drew books will be donated to the kids' library here at the Unitarian Church. We shared a lot of stories about our lives during those nightly conversations, and I felt so close to her. I loved her sense of humor. We could give each other a hard time for fun. She loved find a word puzzle games. She loved her yogurt treats, and it turns out she used to be a hell of a knitter. It was a very special time for the two of us. Also, I want to acknowledge my sister Julie, who worked very hard to manage Judy's affairs, make sure that she landed in a healthy, independent living situation, and ensure she had what she needed. I want to thank Sue Marie, her caseworker, and Dr. Haley, her psychiatrist. Both of these amazing women played crucial, supportive roles in Judy's life. And I want to thank the Care Center. So just at Judy's passing, her caregivers miraculously showed up. She was surrounded by 6 people who loved her in the moment of her passing. Atheist or not, Judy, it felt like a universal gesture of love to me. She wrote, in 2000, the choir sang at the illuminating ceremony for the Relay of Life. At 11 p.m., we were center stage. As the MC announced us, the field lights were turned off and only 2 spotlights remained. A hush fell over the crowd, and we began singing into the darkness. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Judy said, I felt as though we were angels singing to the heavens. Finally, I'm going to read you something that Judy wrote to my parents in her little autobiography. Let it be inscribed on the pages of life that Judy Brophy climbed mountains, sailed oceans, and visited Paris. She was a rebel, vegetarian, Unitarian. She embodied the gentleness of her mother and the ethical character of her father. She knew true love. She influenced the lives of children. She triumphed over tragedy and celebrated personal, professional, and artistic success. Her journey on earth had meaning. May your heart be touched and soothed in any way that Judy moved you in life. Thank you.
I'm probably going to lose it, so just bear with me, but... We all contain multitudes. Each individual is a world unto their own, yet we cannot exist without each other. Life is a complicated amalgam of beauty, pain, learning, forgetting, surprises, delights, pleasures, loneliness, confusion, boredom, rapture, and despair. All of this part of the tapestry that makes us human. The harder parts of life shouldn't be ignored, even in death. For when we ignore our suffering, we hide our burdens from others. If we don't share our authentic selves with other people in our lives, we limit and hinder the depth of the connections we can make. And one of the most wonderful things about humans is that we will help each other get through the hard times. We are stronger together as communities and families. Our connections allow us to live, each of us playing out our roles as ever-changing nodes in the societal web. I had the pleasure of being connected to Judy Sherman Brophy, Grandma Judy. I'm David James Brown, her grandson. I knew her for just the last 35 or so years of her life, less than half the time she spent here on earth. I wish I could have known her longer, but I cherish the blessings that I carry from the time we had together. I don't know that I am ever really able to accept the loss of someone I love. It's a missing part of myself, a hole in the tapestry that can't be darned or patched, something to live with. The memories of those who have passed and the countless ways they have shaped us also persists. Last time I stood here was June 24th, 2023, to speak on the memories of my grandfather. Every time I lose someone, I reflect on how impossible it is to put into words what somebody meant to me, the weight of a lifetime worth of experiences. So much time reflecting and sitting with all the memories and emotions that come when somebody leaves us. The dread of searching for the right words, the fear and doubt of being able to express the things you want to share about a person, or even knowing what you want to share. Who is my audience, and what is my connection to them? Grandma Judy could have helped me with this. She knew what it was to worry and doubt and overthink. She could relate. She also knew how to encourage and urge me to do my best. She was a teacher before I was even born. And some of those qualities you might remember from your best teachers stayed with her whole life. A curiosity bright enough to inspire others to learn. A patient desire to see the potential in others bloom. And in a way, to be part of that beauty. Judy was with me the last time I was here, and many of you as well. She heard the words I had to say, and I held her hand as we walked to the memorial garden to spread Grandpa's ashes. I wonder if she ever thought what I might have to say at her funeral. A worrying thought for any of us. I think we can all relate to that. Our connection deepens. While we all need connections, paradoxically, relationships are challenging. We're all so complex, and the variables of life are unlimited. We defy logic and prediction, yet we make it work, and it's beautiful. It's human with all that that means. Sometimes, like a miracle, the connections come easily. It might not technically be magic, but nothing comes closer than love. My grandma and grandpa loved each other dearly. You could see it in all their photographs, and you could see it manifested when they were together. They enriched each other's lives and were happier because they were together. More than that, their partnership helped them to be their best selves and to share the love with the people that they touched. I don't know if Grandma Judy ever wanted biological children of her own. I do know that when we were introduced, and I called her Grandma as a little 5-year-old, she was ready for that role and welcomed me as her grandson. It was never important to either of us that I didn't specifically have a quarter of her DNA or whatever. The family I lived with had just enough to keep us clothed and fed. We lived in a cold and gray and sometimes beautiful part of Minnesota. Most of the glimmers of a wider, more colorful world culture I had as a child came from the Brophys. Going from rural Minnesota to visit them in Hawaii was like visiting another planet. I met the ocean for the first time, felt the heat of Madame Pele's fire, and walked on her newly created beaches of black sands. I made friends with plants I had never seen nor could have imagined before. We went to symphonies, theater, and ate world-class cuisine. She helped me see what a big and beautiful world we live in. From the start of our relationship, Grandma wanted to foster my interest in music. She sent me a collection of Mozart, one of the first sets of CDs I ever owned. Books of music for the piano appropriate for my level of practice followed. I loved to hear her sing and play her guitar. She always seemed so happy when she was making music. Seeing how fulfilling it was for her makes me wish I had had a piano and kept up with playing. The endless possibilities of life and the finite time we have inevitably lead to some regret. The miracle of the portable CD player with anti-skip protection was a budding technology beyond the budget of my immediate family. Grandma and Grandpa researched the best one on the market and gifted it to me. This may sound like a trifling thing now, but that small piece of tech changed my life as a kid. Being able to listen to music anywhere was a precious form of freedom I had yet to taste. It allowed me a beautiful escape at moments when the world seemed dull and gray. I'm never without access to music to this day. I only visited Grandma and Grandpa twice in Hawaii. When I was 16, they decided to move to the mainland. Grandma accepted a job with the Navy here in Bremerton. This meant that there was no longer an ocean separating us, and I'd be able to see them more often. We have lovely forests in Minnesota, but I could instantly see the charm and beauty they saw in the Pacific Northwest. Their cozy house in Tracyton, nestled in the towering pines with a beautiful moss-covered lawn, was a very special place to me. Grandma would get me a ticket to come and visit at least once a year. When I was young, it felt like they would always be there, enriching my life and helping me learn. A year or two out of high school, and I was ready for more institutional knowledge. Grandma insisted that her and Grandpa would help with my tuition. I enrolled in my local community college with a focus on math and sign language. Though I never finished my degree, the things I learned helped shape me into the person I am now and opened the world to more possibilities. The blessings of a language are in the connections you can make. The time finally came for Grandma Judy to retire from her career. Her office held a party for her. She wrote a parody song for the party to the tune of I Will Wait for You by Connie Francis about the buggy software program they used to do their work. Grandma asked if I would sign alongside while she sang her song. They already had an ASL interpreter for the event, but Grandma knew it would be a good opportunity for us to perform something together and for me to get some practical experience. I was reluctant to join her, still lacking confidence in my signing. Grandma was gentle but persistent in encouraging me to join her. By the end, I was grateful for the experience and honored to have been part of it. My memories of her still inspire me to continue to push my own boundaries and make new connections. Through her work at the Navy, she had become certified to administer the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator Assessment personality test. She asked if I'd like to take it. More recent science casts doubt on the reliability of such tests. The human being is ineffably complex. What was important and meaningful for me was that she wanted to know more about me, to understand me better, to relate to me, and deepen our connection. After the assessment, she shared her type, and we had a long and meaningful conversation about how we relate to the world. I think we would all be better off if this type of conversation were more common. Like any set of humans, we didn't always agree. Her risk assessment was much more conservative than my own. You might imagine that a radical left, queer, pot-smoking millennial might have some different points of view than an older, more affluent liberal. Sometimes she needed to assert control over a situation, and I am terribly allergic to authority. On the other side of the OCD, she valued accuracy and strove towards it in her daily life. I could relate to that. There is a beauty in precision. It helps in communication as well. Our backgrounds and our differences in approach to the world were stark, but we also had a lot in common. A love of art, music, and theater, a desire to understand people, and the need to be loved and understood in turn. We were never short on conversation, and despite our differences, it was easy for us to relate. Like me, she was an atheist, not the annoying kind, but a compassionate humanist. When we talked, neither of us had to navigate the supernatural beliefs or superstitions that the other had. She was candid, something that I really admired about her. Especially in recent years, she would tell you exactly what she thought about something. She wasn't afraid to be authentic with me. For many reasons, she had my respect. A life-changing medicine that allowed Judy to function and thrive in this grossly challenging world abruptly stopped working after more than 30 years. If any of you know the reality of living with depression and anxiety, you know the realms of living hell a person can slip into. Around the same time, my grandpa's memory was being eroded by disease. She needed someone to care for her, yet my grandfather's capacity to care and support diminished, and he needed more care. She was there for him. She showed up for him the best she could. The effort was not without cost. A toll was taken on her health, and some of her relationships inevitably stressed. I wanted to be there more to help with everything, from simply reaching the high shelf or fetching the heavy box of Christmas paraphernalia, to be a soothing balm for some of those stressed relationships it was hard for me to see where they were, how much need they had, in contrast to where they had been and all they had provided. Swiftly flow the years. Grandma told me that she understood my desire, but that I had to live my life. Even though I lived 2,000 miles away and could only visit for a few weeks out of the year, our connection was always strong. Like any of us, the community that Grandma Judy was a part of made it possible to bear the hardships for as long as she did. Her friends and family were as much a blessing to her as she was to us. A big part of her community was this fellowship. Ties to so many individuals over the decades, teaching and learning, sharing in song and story, all adding to the tapestry of her life, a tapestry we are a part of, the same tapestry. In memory and love, I say goodbye, but we will always be connected. Be curious, do your best to understand people, and as much as you can, have compassion for them. Our connections, our relationships, are what make our lives not just bearable, but also meaningful. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel and David, for your memories. I would like now to invite any of you who might have memories of Judy. I'm sure you all do. We all have our memories of people. And invite you to come forward and share your memories. And you can speak from this mic or from the pulpit, and speak briefly, please, and using the microphone. All right, Ellen.
Judy was about 12 years older than us kids. There were 4 of us. What?
Thank you, Elena.
Yeah, so she was our teacher, she was our babysitter, she was our friend. We all knew she had struggles, emotional, mental struggles, and we all knew pretty much that they traced back to her mom, which is probably why she didn't want to have kids. She didn't want to keep that strain going. But I remember one time that my family was away on vacation, and Judy was watching the house and watching our dog. And we came back a little early. And when we walked into the kitchen, Judy was on her knees with her head in the oven. And we all just stopped to just get this. And my father said, "Judy, dear, what are you doing?" And she pulled her head out of the oven and was just shocked to see us. She said, "Well, I was making a cheesecake and the spring form sprung." And we all looked around, and sure enough, cheesecake all over the bottom of the oven. Now, this is what Rachel was talking about. What would have happened in her family would have probably been bad. But our family showed her what a normal family was. Daddy went and got 6 spoons. We all kneeled down, and we all started eating.
Thank you, Ellen. Right, that's great. I invite others to share memories if you care. All right, Liz.
My name's Liz, and I have I have many memories of Judy and Jim, but one happened on Easter Sunday, 2003, when my husband and I showed up here at church unexpectedly with a baby. Now, some of you say, how could it be unexpected? But our baby was brought to us by a social worker on a Friday night, and 2 weeks later, we showed up at church. And I have a photograph. I was sitting right where Nancy's sitting, and I was holding a baby in a sling, and Judy's face is there, and she is just She is lit up. And that afternoon, she was at my house with baby blankets and baby sleepers, and then she showered that kid who's now 23 with books and stuffed animals for his whole life. Now, maybe some of you know, but he became a caregiver, and he was one of Judy's caregivers at Bay Point, just for a little while. But they had a real connection, and I'm a retired school librarian, so that book thing worked out for me. And then at one point, Judy said, "Liz, do you ever need volunteers?" What do you think I said? Yes. And she started, this was before the pandemic, right around when Jim was starting to have some exceptional needs. But she came faithfully once a week on Wednesday. And you're right, meticulous. She wanted to know how things worked. She helped kids. She helped us. And she was just terrific. So, Judy, wherever you are, thanks.
Thank you, Liz. When we hear Jerry.
Yes, my name's Jerry. My wife, Kasiko, and I, excuse me, moved here 19 years ago, and we found this church pretty quickly. I don't know how, and immediately, Judy and Jim were the first people that welcomed us. Suddenly, we were invited to gatherings, and we were invited to be part of this Friday night group of some KUF people and friends who would go out, and it was called the name of the group. Jim named the group. It was called the Friday Night at the Island Cinema Society. That's in Bainbridge. And Jim actually made membership cards. And FNATICS, Fanatics. My wife, Kazuko, found this card. I lost mine long ago. It says, "This certifies that Kazuko Yamasaki is a member in good standing and should therefore be afforded all the privileges thereto." And it was just fun. Judy made things fun. And the thing about Judy is she brought people together. Countless gatherings and holidays, and she would have our names at each, she would figure out where each of us would sit. And the other thing I remember about Judy is she was active in the choir, and she was the choir librarian for quite a while. She even directed the choir a while in between directors. She organized us after rehearsal to go to the Toad House and have beer and pizza. And Jim would really loudly say his favorite was Irish Death. And yeah, the beer. And then there were just countless other occasions that Judy was somebody that brought people together and made things fun and made you feel really welcome. I miss her dearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Speaking of feeling welcome, I knew Judy when I was really quite young here at the fellowship. And I started singing in the choir when my dad was directing it years and years ago. And, being a young, weirdly shy, even though I was a performer kid, I remember one of the first things she ever said to me was about my haircut. She and I always wore our hair in a little bob, about the same. And she'd always say something about, "Oh, I just love your haircut. I should get mine cut just like that." Because, it already looked the same. But yeah, she was so welcoming. And now it makes sense knowing that she was a teacher, how she just tucked me right into the section and let me lead when I could and let me follow when I needed to. She was wonderful. I'm going to miss her a lot too.
Hello, my name's Jenny Sugimoto. I've known the Brophies for decades, but I didn't really know them really well until their health started to fail, and I spent a lot of time with Judy when she was moving out of her home. And what amazed me was they had a children's playhouse, real life size, the best toys you ever saw, the books. I was like, Judy, do you have kids? No. I was like, well, she wanted the kids to be so comfortable if they came to her house. And so Judy gave me their collection of Chevron toys. Remember the little cars? And they collected them all. The fire, truck, but everyone works, the doors open. And let me tell you, they have a special place in my house. I have an ottoman they're in. And every child who comes to our home plays with those, they love them because they really work. And every time they come out, I think of the Brophies. And what a wonderful world. She loved children, really loved children. So, sorry for your loss. She will be greatly missed.
Thanks, Jenny. And of course, everyone's welcome to continue sharing stories during the reception that follows this service. Oh, thank you. Handling all these technical things, like lowering the microphone. Everyone's invited to go to the memorial garden for the dedication of Judy's ashes following this service. And then, of course, everyone's invited to the reception you can either stay here or come back from the memorial garden. So in the spirit of love, we close this celebration of the life of Judy Brophy. And I'm going to ask Alan to come up and extinguish our chalice with these words from the poet Lone Jensen. Let us celebrate the power of memory to give us hope. Let us pray for the power of memory to help us heal. And let us honor the many gifts we were given by Judy Brophy. Our challenge is to affirm and celebrate the joy, the goodness, and the beauty of this life. Amen.
Standing on these
So the choir is going to sing one final song here that I hope you recognize. And after we've finished, I'll invite you to follow some of the choir members out to the Memorial Garden. And please feel free to sing along. And now, Brian, if you want to begin playing one more time, and the choir will lead us out.